Hey guys, it's Danny. So today I am doing another tag video. The topic of the tag is tips for starting and growing your luxury handbag collection. And I was tagged by Ron from Rami Rafai. Now I was tagged ages ago. I looked, it's been over 8 months. I am so sorry, Ron. I am a terrible friend. I think this is a great topic and I wanted to do a video like this even before Ron tagged me. However, every time I sat down to think about making this video, I got overwhelmed because I have so many things to talk about. But 8 to 9 months later, after I've been tagged, I'm ready to share 8 tips with you, 8 things I wish I knew before I started buying luxury. The first one I'm going to call a rule because it is a rule, it's not a tip. Rule number 1 of luxury purchasing is to never go into debt for luxury or any frivolous spending for that matter. There is nothing luxurious about being in debt. The anxiety of thinking about how you're going to pay back money is not luxurious whatsoever. It is so much better to save up for the item and pay for it when you have the funds available. And you can do that in whatever means that you feel is comfortable. I think I would rather eat white rice for many months until I've saved up my funds. And sure, that doesn't seem luxurious at all, but that is so much better than the opposite approach. Tip number 2 is to consider whether resale value of the bag is important to you. I do have a video already touching on this topic and I've linked it in the description box below. Broadly speaking, Louis Vuitton, Chanel and Hermes are known to hold value best. In Asia, these 3 brands are considered the trinity of luxury, and this is because these are brands that have a very long history in the industry, so they've got really good staying power, and also simply speaking, they are just desired by us. But don't just go and buy a bag from Louis Vuitton, Chanel and Hermes and expect to flip it for a profit in a couple of years. There are certain bags in certain colors and leathers that will hold better value, and then there are others that won't. For example, it's really hard to go wrong with an Hermes Birkin 30 black Togo leather with gold hardware. It is a classic combination. Togo leather is very desirable because it is very durable and is relatively easy to spar compared to the other leathers. So if you take a Togo leather bag back to Hermes, they can treat it in such a way that it comes back to you looking pretty darn good. And not to mention, it is a bag that's really hard to get. But if you think a Chanel classic flap in black lambskin with gold hardware is equivalent to an Hermes Birkin 30, it isn't. And that's because the Chanel classic flap is a lot more common than the Birkin 30. And since resale value is something that is really important to me, every time I go and buy a bag, I would research their resale value. And you can do that very easily by checking out the retail price of the bag and then checking out the resale market to see how much these bags sell for. And for bags that don't really hold value, but you still really want the bag, consider going via pre-loved route instead of retail. And I'm not saying that I would never purchase anything that has no resale value. It's just that I would prefer to make an informed decision knowing how much money I would lose when I purchase that bag. Tip number 3, I think it is so important to work out what you want and then prioritize your spending. Now, if you're brand new to luxury shopping, this may take a little bit of time and patience. I think the most efficient way of doing this is to think about what you want this handbag to do for you. Do you want a relatively small bag where you can just run around with it, go for lunch with your friends, do some grocery shoppings, run some errands? Or do you want a really large bag to carry, the big stuff like your laptop? Do you need this bag to be practical, or are you happy to forego function just for the aesthetics of the bag? Because there are lots of beautiful bags out there that don't serve much function. Nothing wrong with that in my opinion. Once you have the answer to these questions, then I suggest you go ahead and look into your existing collection and work out which bag it is that brings you the most joy serving you these functions. Then you know to look for a luxury bag in a similar design. For example, if you really like the camera bag, go ahead and buy a luxury designer camera bag. Saint Laurent and Gucci offer really beautiful, really nice camera bags. If you like a tote and you really want it to have a zipper, do not buy the Louis Vuitton Neverfull. Maybe go and consider the tote from Faury Lepage. And if you want to buy a bag that just looks pretty, go ahead and buy the bag that complements you the most. Now, if you are like me and you have a very big list of bags that you would like to buy, but limited funds, I like to use this method. I imagine myself carrying bag X from my list, and I imagine someone else carrying bag Y from my list. If they walk past me, am I going to feel jealous and would I want bag Y instead? If I do, then I know that I should just go and purchase bag Y even if it's going to be more expensive than bag X. Tip number 4 flows on from tip number 3. Now, when considering what kind of bag you're going to buy for an evening event, I strongly suggest that you save money in this area. And that's because if you purchase a clutch that looks extremely formal, that is only for evening events, unless you are someone who has a lot of evening events to attend, and you're willing to wear the same clutch for every single event, you're not going to get much use out of this clutch. If you're looking for something relatively sizable, something that you can dress up or dress down with a very nice logo, I think the Saint Laurent Uptown pouch is a really good option, one that doesn't sting the budget so much. Tip number 5 is to be aware of how this luxury handbag might wear. Wear and tear is so important to me, and the last thing that I want is to buy a very expensive handbag for it to look really sad and dreary after a few months. For example, Chanel lambskin is known to be very soft and luxurious, however, it doesn't wear particularly well. One very easy way of doing this is to look up the bag on pre-loved sites, and then you can see how they look like once they've been used. One bag range that I've steered clear of is this Saint Laurent Lulu. When I look at them on the pre-loved market, a lot of them look like they have lost structure, and I'm just not a fan of that. One bag that seems to do really well from Saint Laurent is the puffer style, and I think it's because it comes slouchy, and with time it gets slouchier, but it doesn't look too different from its birth. Tip number 6 is to check out the bag in person if you can, and that's because when you shop online and you're looking at a picture, you can't tell how heavy a bag is. You can't tell whether a clasp opening is fiddly, you can't tell if the zipper pull is smooth or not, and you can't tell if the straps or the handles sit funny when you carry them. If you, however, have no choice but to only shop online, if you're buying from a retailer, check that they have a good returns policy. And also remember, if the retailer sends the item to you and charge you for delivery, if you return the item, you only get refunded the cost of the item, not the cost of delivery. Now, when you're shopping pre-loved online, the advantage of that is that the item that you're looking at on your screen is the actual item that you're going to buy. This is as opposed to, say, shopping on the Louis Vuitton website. The item that you see is the model, and the one that you get delivered may have quality issues. That's obviously not on the model. But with shopping pre-loved online, the item that you're looking at is the actual item that should be sent to you. And although you can see the physical signs of wear and tear, again, you can't tell how heavy the bag is. You can't tell whether the bag smells. You can't tell whether the magnets or the buttons have loosened. Again, if you're going to do this, make sure that the seller has a good returns policy. But if at all possible, it would save you a lot of hassle if you could check out the item in person. Tip number 7 is to be really careful when you're buying exotics from overseas. Now, if you purchase something from an international website, they may be delivered from overseas, and this means that you are importing the item. And items as such need to adhere to international laws of endangered animals and species. Exotics refer to like crocodile, stingray, python, shark, zebra, ostrich, and lizard, just to name a few. I've heard of people purchasing exotic leathers from other countries, and unfortunately the seller didn't send the correct documents and the bag got destroyed by customs. Tip number 8 is to make sure that you budget for collateral damage. These are things that you pay for or will likely pay for along with your luxury handbag. The first one that you cannot avoid is storage. Do you have space to store your luxury handbag properly? Because the last thing you need to do is to pay so much money for a luxury handbag only to store it in a suboptimal position and it ends up being squashed, which would affect the aesthetics and the value of the bag. So if you don't have room to store your bag, you're gonna have to create it, which is real estate. Some people buy specific storage. For example, this one for the Chanel Classic Flap. A lot of us in the luxury community tend to buy bag inserts to protect the insides of our bags. It also gives our bags a little bit more structure. Now, bag inserts, there's a number of different companies that make them, and although Samorga is probably the most affordable one, the cost of these bag inserts still add up. Now, what else do you have to pay for? Are you happy with the strap of the bag that you're getting, or are you going to get an additional strap for it? And the other thing that we tend to buy for our bags are twillies to wrap the handles so that we can protect the handles of our luxury handbag. Just jumping in here because I lost some footage. Now, the other thing that you have to budget for is authenticating your luxury items that you purchased pre-loved. So I know of online authenticating services that start from 20 Australian dollars. It does get more expensive for brands like Chanel and Hermes. And I also know of physical Go authenticating services that charge 50 Australian dollars. Now, do you have the budget for all of these? And I haven't even covered bag charms. I have so many more tips to share, and if you want to hear more from me, kindly leave me a comment and I'll be happy to do more videos. Hi, it's me again. So there are a few people here on YouTube that I want to tag to do this video, and I have specifically selected them because I think that they have a lot of experience with luxury shopping and they certainly have a lot of tips to share. So I'm going to tag Mary from Lumi Level Up, Caleb from Caleb Snell, Loki from Life with Loki, Jenny from Something Latte, Kula from With a Touch of Luxury, and last but certainly not least, I want to tag Maggie from Favorites with Maggie. I've just only recently discovered her channel and she does really fun videos with her sister Christina. Finally, I want to say thank you so much to Ron for creating this tag topic and also tagging me to do this video. And over here, I'm going to link another tag video on the topic of 10 luxury items I would buy again and again. I hope to see you over there.